The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Talk Politics. Happy New Year. Our guest this week, our first guest of 2023, is Durham Regional Chair John Henry. Welcome back to the show. This is actually the first time we've had the opportunity to speak since the election.
It's been a while, so let me be one of the first people to wish you a happy New Year.
Let's talk about the election just quickly because we haven't talked about it yet. Congratulations, first off, on the win. 63% of the vote went to you. Your reaction to the trust that Durham residents are placing in your hands?
Well, you know, it's great to be here again and to have a mandate to continue to do the work that we've done. I'm disappointed in the number of people that actually voted, but you know, that means we got to work harder. I think we have to be informing our residents more of some of the things that are going on at the regional and municipal level of government. In fact, the provincial and federal government too, so that we can get them interested in what we do. You know, here at our level of government, we touch the lives of our residents every day. And it's important that they understand what we're doing and they have an opportunity to participate. So
the municipal level of government is about to change a little. I want to talk to you about Bill 23 and the changes and the challenges that will mean for municipal governments. So many aspects of this bill. First off, under Bill 23, provincially appointed facilitators will be tasked with assessing the regional governments in Durham, Halton, Peel, Waterloo, and York. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, there are only 5 regional governments, so they're looking at all of us. It's a little bit confusing. Bill 23 was delivered immediately after the election next day. There was no discussions or consultations with anyone. It just sort of came and it happened. And for us, trying to improve ways, you know, I understand the province wants to increase the amount of housing out there, and we want to increase the amount of housing out there, but there are lots of factors that affect that. One, the biggest challenge that we have is the challenge of finding skilled people to build homes. The shortage of labor is so huge that it's affecting every part of the economy of Ontario and the home building economy as well. The other challenge that we're having is supply chain. You cannot build more homes if there's no more lumber, concrete, steel, bricks, the materials you need to build homes, and then of course to furnish them. So there's some challenges. I'm worried about the plan and trying to speed things up. I worry about people, you know, for example, flood insurance, being able to get the infrastructure in the ground to support, you know, the demands of building this many houses. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that need to happen and discussions need to take place, and we're trying to do that with the province right now.
So, assessing the regional governments, though, are you worried that the provincial government is looking at, I guess, regional governments and whether not only are they efficient enough, but are they needed? There's been a lot of discussion, and there in the past and now with this that's still ongoing, even during the election. You know, Peter Neal, who was running against you on the sole platform of, you know, regional government wasn't needed. Is there some concern there?
Well, there is some concern because most MPPs have never been in municipal government. So when you look at some of our elected officials, they might not have a true understanding. I don't know how you would divide water and sewer amongst 8 municipalities, how you would break out long-term care, how would you separate policing and paramedics are, you know, the important things that we as a region deliver, traffic management. So who's going to manage the street light, traffic lights in intersections? There are a lot of things that go on: water treatment plants, wastewater plants. So I'm looking forward to the review. We're always looking for ways to improve how we do business here at the region, and every municipality should be looking at ways to do things better and more efficiently. So we've gone through a review once. We can go through the review again. We're happy to work for them. Our team here is preparing to meet with them when the time comes to really give them an education and understanding of what the regional government does. You know, how this will happen in the future, we don't know. The province is on this path of confusion because we're all confused because we don't really understand what's going on. But it's important to separate what the two levels of government are. We don't manage libraries. We don't look after parks. We don't look after fire departments, but we look after a lot of things, and it's looked after over a large geographical area. In the region of Durham's 2,500 square kilometers, 8 municipalities. Could you imagine just trying to manage our paramedics and how they operate just in Brock or in Clarington? How do you divide that out? How would you manage it? How much additional staff would the lower tier municipalities have? And part of Bill 23 is taking some of the approvals away from regional government and moving it on to the lower tier governments. How do communities like Scugog, Uxbridge, and Brock, who don't have planners, who rely upon legal services from the region, engineering services, economic development, we do all of that for those 3 municipalities. How are they going to do that? And first of all, how are they going to pay for it? Because they're small communities and there's not a lot of tax revenue in those communities. To hire a planner, an engineer, and just for Brock would be a big part of their budget increase. Well, it would be greater than their budget increase for next year.
Getting back to the housing and the building and the challenges even of getting just the materials to build the housing quickly. Another big part of this has been taking away or limiting the amount of development charges that municipalities can charge with builders, having a major impact on the tax bill. What are your thoughts on that?
You're absolutely right. So in order to build homes, you still need to put water and sewer into the grounds to deliver it to the new homes. And all the other things that go with that: street lights, roads, all of the infrastructure, the people you need as you increase your population, not in policing and our EMS and wastewater and water, but long-term care. There's a ripple effect of things that we do that needs to be addressed. And the challenge of putting some of that back onto the ratepayer throughout the region is quite frankly is unfair. And for us, the estimated 5-year cost for the region, and these are all estimates because we're really not sure where the province is going yet, is a cost of about $281 million. And growth was always designed to pay for growth. But the challenge with what they're trying to do to build more homes is, to give you an idea, you just cannot build a water pumping station overnight. It takes years of environmental assessment work, design, and then you build it. And it takes several years to build one of these facilities because they're very, very complicated. So if you build all these houses, how are we going to deliver water to these communities? How are we going to get rid of wastewater? How are we going to manage some of the challenges that affect your life today? When you got up this morning, you turned the tap on, you brushed your teeth, you went out and made a cup of coffee. We deliver that water to your home. So unless you're on a well in a rural community, the region brings that safe drinking water to you, and growth is supposed to pay for growth. And I'm worried about that in the future. And while the province says, well, don't worry, we'll make sure it all works out. Well, the bill itself is fundamentally flawed in that they never sat down with us to understand what was needed to do what they want to do. There isn't a politician in Canada that doesn't want to build more homes. We all are on the same page, but how you build them to make them affordable and efficient with the right services and at the right time is really the challenge that we're all having right now.
So have you reached out to Durham's MPPs, and what do they have to say?
We've met with 4 of Durham's MPPs. We have sent them an update. Our staff is meeting with people within a number of different ministries, Ministry of Municipal Affairs. We've sent our notes. We're working through the big mayors group, Marco, to get our messages out in the larger voice. And hopefully they're starting to hear us, because it doesn't matter how many houses you want to build. If there's no water in those houses, then people can't live in them. And that's where the real challenge is. And making sure we get the services to where the houses are is key. But there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. You just can't automatically tomorrow go out and start to dig a trench to run a sewer. There's planning, there's the work that's done from the engineering aspects. And then the big challenge right now is finding all the materials you need to build that pipeline. You just cannot do it overnight. And then the challenge is now everybody is trying to do it at the same speed. So now that length of pipe that used to be, say $100, now you've got 100 communities looking for one section of pipe. Is that cost still going to be $100 when everybody wants it? Because supply and demand dictates price.
Yeah. My question is, and a lot of other people have asked the same question, once these houses are built, how affordable are they going to be? What kind of housing is going to be built?
Well, that's part of it too, because there's a process when you go through this. It involves the lower tier municipalities and with developers coming in, and they put their site plans in, and they come with a plan to do this. But you want neighborhoods to be not square boxes too. You want parks, you want walking spaces, you want them to be a connected community. You have to build the community to support public transit. But when you build more houses and you need more public transit, then you need more buses as well. So there needs to be a bigger discussion that goes on. We're struggling with challenges with our healthcare system now and wait times in our ERs, trying to serve the population of Durham now, which is around 710,000 people. But if we speed up the increase of development in the region, and it's not done in a controlled manner, we're not going to be able to keep up with the existing services. We already know that there has to be another hospital built in the Durham region to meet the growth. We know these challenges out to 2051. The goal is, how do we get to 2051 and do it in a sustainable manner, protecting some of our green space, making sure that people have what they need, and at the same time knowing that when we build communities that they're protected from flooding, some of the other challenges that we have. It takes that time to put that information together before you build a community.
Okay, I'm going to hold you there. We're going to take a quick break. More of our conversation with John Henry after this.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the Community Billboard.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Van Bilsen for Photos and Travel, where we bring the world to your doorstep. Join us January 1st at 1 p.m. when we visit Easter Island and learn the truth behind the statues. Right here on Rogers TV.
Hi, I'm Constable Gerald Rice, Durham Regional Police Service. Tune into Rogers Cable 10 to watch me on Seniors Talk with DRPS, where we'll talk about all kinds of amazing information and community programs for you, our seniors in Durham Region.
You're watching Rogers TV.
And welcome back to Talk Politics. I'm Debra Hutchison, and our guest this week is Durham Regional Chair John Henry. When we went to break, we were in the middle of the discussion about Bill 23. We were talking development charges. Another aspect of this, and I want to ask you how concerned you are, there's a lot of talk of, where these homes are going to be built on land currently protected under the Greenbelt, and the rules have changed, or land that was in the protected Greenbelt area will not be, so that the houses can be built. Your reaction when you heard this?
Well, I think, like everyone, I was a bit shocked at how quickly this moved along, not understanding, and still not understanding Bill 23, because every day there is something new part of this that comes out. So, when you're going into space, that green space that was never really part of the plan to build homes, now you've got to bring services into areas that you've really worked around, because that land was set aside for other reasons. So now the challenge is trying to bring those services into those lands. At the same time, Durham's having probably the greatest growth in all of Ontario right now, and trying to meet up with the growth in other parts of our region. So we only have so many people that work here at the region that can do all of this stuff. And as you expand, we know that the challenges with all that extra growth is we need to increase the size of our water treatment plants, not wastewater, but water treatment plants. And that construction takes years. So we're trying to bring all of that information to the province so they understand the challenges that this is going to cause us. And the other part too is we really need to look at where we want to be, like I said, out to 2051, and how you time it. In a really good year, the region's able to build about 6,500 homes. That is if everything works. And we can't get to where the numbers that they want us to get to based on supply chain and labor right now. We're struggling. And then again, we can't take that growth and put those bills onto the back of our ratepayers that exist right now. This needs some more thought, and we need to have a bigger conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you really bring up a good point with the water treatment plant and the delivery, the safe delivery of water to Durham residents. My question is to many, we all know that when projects are rushed, things can get overlooked, and sometimes things happen that.
Well, Walkerton's a great example of that. The Safe Water Drinking Act dictates at our level of government. So at the municipal level of government throughout Ontario, those of us that deliver water services into your communities are covered and are liable as individuals if you don't follow the rules related to the Safe Water Drinking Act. That's it's government regulations. They should be there. But you're absolutely right, Deborah. If you rush this, then something's going to go wrong. And we had a great discussion this morning in our finance meeting about our water costs and sewage costs for next year. And what's happened to us is the same thing that's happened to you at your home. The chemicals that we use to treat water in our systems today went up 200%. We've got challenges now with increased costs. Same way if you had somebody come to your home. But the cost of concrete's up, the cost of steel's up, and trying to make all this happen when everybody else is trying to do the same thing. We talked about that piece of pipe earlier. I don't know how everybody trying to grab those materials is going to help to lower the price of doing this. So it's interesting. Our team here at the region is working hard. We're in constant communications with the CAOs of the lower tier municipalities, trying to make sure that the province gets a collective message from all 8 municipalities and the region of Durham.
Let's take a look back, 2022, the election aside. What would you say is perhaps your biggest win in 2022, aside from the election?
Oh, well, I think it was when the GO Train East expansion got through the Treasury Board for the second time. And that we know that the GO Train is going to get out to Clarington. I'm excited about that you'll hear some news in 2023 that we'll talk about where that's going and how it's moving along, and it's incredibly exciting. I think that's a major project. It will really change the shape of Oshawa and Clarington. And I'm really proud of the work that our teams have done. It's been 30 years of work on behalf of the municipalities, and I'm excited to finally say that the GO Train's coming. I think that was one of our biggest wins.
Another example that projects don't happen overnight, right?
Well, it's an amazing project because it takes regional and municipalities coming together in cooperation to raise our voice, to prove the business case existed to expand the rail all the way out to Clarington, and quite frankly, the next expansion. And there should be another expansion out here, because if you want to talk about the environment and improving greenhouse gases, then the train's got to get farther down the road. It's got to eventually get out to Newtonville, Port Hope, and Cobourg. It's got to service the communities and link up easy with the city of Fort Lakes and Peterborough. This isn't just a Durham Region issue. This is an issue that is greater than that. But it takes a lot of work with their planning staff at both levels. There's a lot of infrastructure involved under the ground, above the ground, on poles that will be affected, that we'll have to work with and move, and we'll have to work together collaboratively to make it work. And I'm excited about how we do that. And I'm excited at how far we've gone. And it's a great example of how municipal and at both levels can work together to get to the province so they understand what we're doing. And I think the next stage of the expansion of rail is incredibly exciting. It's really a game changer for at least those two communities and moving people through the region.
What about perhaps the greatest challenge in 2022?
Well, in Durham Region is as one of the largest regions in Ontario, is the challenge of just navigating all the things that need to be done. Transit is a great example how we were able to navigate through COVID and utilize on-demand transit to get to the far corners of the region without expanding and running large buses up into areas where they had very few people. On-demand has been recognized as one of the best transit programs in Ontario, and I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of the council and the work that our staff in Durham Region Transit did to make that happen.
So as we look ahead to 2023, we've only got about 4 more minutes left. What would you say is number one on your to-do list?
Well, one is trying to bring as much recognition to the challenges that we're having as a level of government. Homelessness, mental health, addictions. These are all challenges we have in our communities. And as a level of government, we're not really equipped to deal with this. We can send paramedics out and police officers and public health nurses working with our police department now, and social workers working with our paramedics to try to bring services into the community and support these people. But there really needs to be more mental health support in this province, across the country, to deal with mental health and addictions, and bringing that message back to the government that, we're not equipped to deal with this. We can come out and manage the emergency at the time, but there really needs to be a place where people to go to get the help they need. And, supportive housing is something that we've talked about for a long time. And we've got projects on the go here at the region to expand that. Council's position of creating 1,000 new spaces. We're working towards that goal, but the goal is greater than that. And yet the government, they collect both levels of government collect far more in taxes than we do. We only have the ability to work with really property taxes, but there needs to be more support for municipalities across this country. Not just Durham, I mean across this country, to deal with some of these issues. And I'm frustrated that they continue to think that there is no housing crisis, because if it was a real crisis, they would admit it and they would help to solve it. The addictions are a crisis, but in order to solve it, you need to admit it and you need to go forward to work collectively as municipal levels of government and provincial and federal government. And we need to do more. but we're not equipped at the municipal level to fund this. We don't look after hospitals at the provincial level of government that deals with that. The federal government, their housing strategy needs to be stronger, and there needs to be more money put into it. And we need to support our residents in our regions. It's not just a Durham problem, it's a problem across this entire country, but it's time both levels of government listen to us and say, here's what's going on the street, here's what we need to do, and we need your help. We don't create the laws, we simply enforce it. We don't run the judicial system, we just deliver the people who have been charged. Our police department manages that. But there are some serious flaws in how they manage things, and it needs to be addressed and it needs to be fixed. And I think any leader in any community across this country will tell you the exact same thing.
And you're managing everything without being allowed to carry a deficit as well.
Well, we're not, it's a really great point, Debra. We're not allowed to run deficits where the other levels of government can, but I worry about their policy forcing us to do things that or make changes or cut services based on their decisions, because there is no endless pot of money at the municipal level of government. We collect our taxes, we spend them wisely, but we've got, about 6,000 regional employees. So when you look at the region of Durham and you look at all the things that we do, from long-term care to health and social services and policing and paramedics and water and wastewater and daycare, and then if the government wants to talk about changing how we manage them, how are the lower tier levels of government going to manage all of those challenges and not put the burden of costs back onto the ratepayer?
Good point. 30 seconds. I have 30 seconds left. What are you looking forward to most about the coming term?
Well, I'm excited. We had 2 days of training right after the election for members of council to bring them together so they understood everything that's going on. We're through our first 4 committee meetings. Tomorrow we have a committee of the whole. We have a council meeting at the end of the month. And then I'm looking forward to start the year and bring these great, talented people that have been elected to work together to do the best they can to make Durham Region and continue to make Durham Region the best place in Ontario and Canada to live.
Okay. And on that, we are out of time. Durham Regional Chair John Henry, it has been a pleasure as always, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay. On behalf of all of us here at Rogers TV, to you, the viewer, thanks for letting us into your homes, at least for half an hour or so. Until next time, I'm Debra Hutchison. Bye for now.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Long way from Nashville, and mama, I tell you that. Performed from Montreal to Boston to Los Angeles. But Toronto, that's my chosen home. Sure, when I'm walking down Yonge Street, I see some funny people who have the nerve to point the finger at me. And grin and smile and whisper. My song was #2 on local radio. Sold 10,000 in Toronto alone. Turned down Ed Sullivan because they asked me to remove my makeup. Wouldn't do American Bandstand because of their segregation policies. I was just being me. Never tried to explain myself to anyone. And besides, none of that to worry, Jackie, because I know I look good. Got a new way of loving, baby. Thought I want to teach it to you.
Jackie Shane was a pioneer transgender soul singer, a central figure in the Toronto R&B scene. She helped shape what we know as the Toronto sound.
It's closing time, and you stayed out longer than you planned. So now you can't drive, and the buses have stopped running. You could always call your girlfriend